I arrived at the family reunion that I had paid for myself. The place was empty. Mom laughed and said, "It was yesterday. We will bring you the works." I didn't say anything, but the next morning, the police spoke for me. I must have known something was wrong the moment I walked into the parking lot. No known cars, no noise, none of my cousins smoking next to the containers and pretending that no one saw them, only silence. I checked the message. Again, Friday, 7 p.m., Casa Mateo restaurant. Can't wait to see them all. Mom sent it 2 weeks ago. It was Friday, 7:02 in the afternoon. I arrived just in time. Like a fool, I walked in, and the cold air gave way to soft jazz and the clinking of glasses. The place was not empty, but the private room that I had booked and paid for, was closed and in the dark. "Can I help you with something, sir?" asked the waitress, barely looking up. "Yes, the Torres family reservation, the private room?" She checked the list. "Oh yeah, that was last night." I blinked, confused. "No, it wasn't. Tonight. I paid the deposit. I made the reservation. Personally." I bowed my head in doubt. "Sir, they were here. 16 people. There was a big cake. His mother brought cards with the names, for sure." She was not confused. I laughed a dry, sharp laugh, one of those that fades away before coming completely out of your mouth. "No, I'm not confused." She stopped, uncomfortably. "No. Do you want to call someone?" I didn't answer. I was already dialing the phone. It rang twice before she responded. "Hello, honey," Mom said in a loud voice. Too light, too casual. "Everything okay?" I stared straight ahead. "Where is everyone?" She paused, then gave that light giggle, which she always used when she knew she had screwed up but didn't want to admit it. "Oh honey, it was yesterday. We thought that you wouldn't come. But don't worry. We will bring you the works." I was frozen. She repeated it as if it had no importance. "It was yesterday. We will bring you the works." I didn't even say goodbye. I just hung up. No one called back. Not even Mom. Neither did Lucia. Nor did anyone. Then a message arrived. "Lucia, ha, seriously, you missed it? Typical brother. Don't worry. We saved a roll." My hand was shaking from the cold, or from anger. I didn't know which of the two. I looked at the waitress. They came. They ate. They were. She shrugged. It seemed like they were having a good time. Of course they had a good time. They always do when I'm not there. I left without saying anything more. I didn't call. I didn't shout. I didn't write in the family group. But I didn't go home either. I stayed in the car, with the engine off, looking at my reflection in the windshield, thinking about the bill, the card charge, and the 10 unread messages I sent to my mother 3 days ago to confirm the time. Everyone knew. They just didn't care. It mattered. They had made that decision together. And tomorrow, I would make mine. You would think that being excluded from a family dinner that you paid for yourself would be the worst part. But it just wasn't. It was the cherry on top of a 5-year-old bitter ice cream. You see, this was not the first time that they left me out. Wasn't even close. It was only the first time. They were sincere enough not to pretend otherwise. I was always the last option. During our childhood, Lucia was the brilliant one who only needed a little push to start. I was the one who didn't need much. That was their code to tell me, survive without love. So we're not going to waste it on you. When I got my first real job, I proudly called Mom. Didn't she say, "Congratulations"? She said, "Great. Now you can finally help your sister with the rent." That was the beginning. A month's rent turned into a whole year. Then the bills came. Then her dental surgery. Then the car insurance. Then the books for her new nursing course that she dropped out of after a semester without ever returning the money I paid. Because I thought that was what you did when you loved your family. But the affection in my family only flowed in one direction. Every time I tried to mention it, even gently, they responded with things like, "Stop being so interested. We are family. Lucia is going through a lot. You know. You're doing better than her. Why do you keep track?" I didn't keep track. They simply refused to see that I was running out. I especially remember one night, 2 years ago. I had just sent €600 to Lucia for an emergency vet. Later that same day, she posted a story on Instagram, new shoes, new nails, and hand in hand with some guy holding a glass of champagne. I showed the story to Mom. She slid the screen, smiled sarcastically, and said, "You men always get so mean with petty money." I paid Dad's property taxes last winter because he forgot, and the city council sent them a garnishment notice. Covered the payments. Lucia's credit card minimums for 6 months when she lost her job, even though I could barely stay afloat. One Christmas, I used up all my savings to buy gifts for everyone. And what did I receive? A framed photo of the family. I didn't appear in it. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to that night when I heard what they really thought of me. It was about 6 months ago. I was at my parents' house, spending a weekend. Had just gotten Lucia out of another problem. This time, it was €10,000 because she accidentally went overdrawn again. I went down to get water and I heard voices from the living room. Lucia said, "He's obsessed with playing the victim. It's a shame." Mom answered, "I know. He acts like he's some kind of savior just because he pays for some things." Then Dad added, laughing, "Let him pay. He won't find a wife anyway. At least that way he's useful for something." I froze in the hallway. Then Lucia added in an arrogant voice, "Do you know what? He thinks we would collapse without him." She snorted. "Please. If he disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't even notice." I didn't go into the living room. I went back upstairs. I lay down on the bed and looked at the ceiling. The next morning, Mom made pancakes as if nothing had happened. After that, I stopped sending money. For about 2 weeks. Then I got a message from Lucia, "I need help with the rent. I will return it, I promise." I did not respond. 2 days later, Mom called. "Lucia is behind on her bills. She's going through a bad time. Do you know how sensitive she is? Why are you acting so cold?" I replied, "I just can't keep doing this." She said, "If you're going to punish us for having raised you, maybe we shouldn't have bothered doing it." That broke me. A lot more than I realized at the time. I sent the money later that day. And now, after all that, they organized a family reunion without me. A dinner that I paid for. An hour that I confirmed. And when I called Mom to ask where they were, she had the audacity to tell me, "It was yesterday. We will bring you the works. Leftovers. Like a dog. Not like a son. Not like a brother. Just a wallet with arms." That night, I stayed sitting in the car in front of the Casa Mateo restaurant. For a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat in that thick, heavy silence, thinking about each and every one of the times that I had been the good one, and given how much it had cost me. Tomorrow, I wouldn't be the good one. Tomorrow, they would learn how it feels when I stop playing my role. And I knew exactly where to start. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was sad or even angry. I was honestly calculating. That dinner at the Casa Mateo restaurant cost me €1,740. Taxes and tips included. 16 people. Appetizers. Custom menu. I even paid extra for the nonsense. Lucia's vegan recipes and Aunt Maria's adaptations for wine allergy. They didn't just forget about me. They knew it perfectly and did it anyway. The next morning, I sent a message to the family group, "See you tonight at Mom's house. 7 p.m. I have something to do." No one asked what it was. Of course they didn't. They never asked anything when it came to me. At 6:58 in the afternoon, I parked at the entrance to my parents' house. Inside, they were already gathered. Lucia was on her phone. Dad was in his recliner with a beer. Mom was arranging the couch cushions like we were waiting for a visitor. She looked up and smiled. "Hello, honey. We weren't sure if you'd still be upset." I didn't answer anything. Lucia looked up, pretending sympathy. "You know we didn't do it to hurt you," she said. "It was just easier for everyone to come on Thursday. Most of us have lives." She said that without any shame. I put a big envelope on the table. "What is this?" asked Mom. I sat up slowly, calmly, and answered, "It's a bill." Dad laughed. Mocking, "Bill, why did I answer that one that you all enjoyed without?" Lucia laughed. "Are you kidding? Don't you?" Mom narrowed her eyes seriously. "Are you trying to get your money back?" "No money," I said, leaning forward. "I'm giving you the thumbs up opportunity. Because from now on, anything you want from me will come with an invoice." Silence. Then Dad sat up straight in his chair. "You have to abandon this attitude, son. We are family." "Of course," I responded. "Family. The same family that intentionally excluded me from a meeting I paid for. The same family that has squeezed me financially and emotionally for 50 years straight." Lucia rolled her eyes. "Come on, no one forced you to pay." That was the moment when something finally happened. It broke inside me. I stood up. "You know what? Okay, let's talk then. About what no one forced me to do." I pointed at Lucia. "No one forced me to pay your rent for 2 years. Or cover your overdraft commissions. Or change your car transmission." I turned to Mom. "No one forced me to pay your back taxes. Or the cruise you wanted for your birthday. When you said Dad had forgotten to do the shopping. When suddenly you couldn't walk because of your knee." Dad's face turned red. "Be careful what you say." "Oh, this is just the beginning," I said, as I took out a printed pocket list. "Don't you want to listen to it?" "Well, I do. Because I had to live it." And then the surprise came. I took out a folder and threw it on the table. "And what is this now?" Dad asked angrily. I smiled. Documentation. Of each transaction. Each bank transfer. Each shipment by Bizum. Each payment by PayPal. Each receipt. Lucia snorted with sarcasm. "Really? You're exaggerating." I didn't say completely. "Don't worry. I'm protected. Because this morning, I filed a fraud complaint." I tapped the folder with my finger. "It's already in the system." "What are you talking about?" Mom asked, suddenly lowering her voice. I looked her directly in the eyes. "Last week, I discovered that someone used my name to open a new credit card. The same one that was used to pay for a new iPhone and a spa package. Lucia posted saying it was a gift from a friend." Lucia stayed paralyzed. I called the credit company. They're investigating it as identity theft. The address they were given? Yours. Lucia stood up suddenly. "Are you kidding me?" "At all," I replied. "And if you think I'm not going to press charges." "You wouldn't dare," Mom said angrily. "Try me." The room exploded with screams. Lucia screamed, "How dramatic you are." Dad shouted, "Do you want to send your own sister to jail? Do you expect me to continue acting stupid eternally?" I responded firmly. Mom burst into tears. You're destroying this family. No, I said as I walked toward the door, I'm finally saving myself from her. And then came the second surprise. When I turned to leave, someone spoke for the first time, my cousin Lucas. The quiet one, who barely spoke at family gatherings. I would like to pay my share, he said softly. Of dinner, I mean. It's only fair. Everyone turned to him, stunned. He added then, and I know I should have said something before. But they did plan excluding you. I was present when they laughed at it. They said you were too dramatic. I'm so sorry. I looked at him, and for the first time that night, I smiled. Thank you. Then I left. They thought they could use me forever. But they forgot one thing, even the quietest of us end up talking. And when we do, we don't whisper. We call the police. In the morning, at 8:17 a.m., my phone vibrated. Private number. I answered. Good morning. Am I speaking with Alejandro Torres? Yes, I am. Officer Ramirez of the local police station. We are currently following up on a report of financial fraud related to a credit card opened in your name. Your family appears at the billing address. Today, we will visit the home to take a statement. I was silent for a moment. Then I said, do you need me to be there? No, sir. You already did your part. We'll take care of that from here. I hung up the phone and sat in silence. For the first time, they would open the door and find someone they couldn't manipulate. This time, I didn't have to speak. The police spoke for me. I believed that silence would bring peace. Instead, it brought chaos. They say that when you remove the cornerstone of an arch, everything collapses. I wasn't the cornerstone. I was the base. And the moment I withdrew, the house of cards collapsed. The police visit was not subtle. According to a very long and very angry voicemail from Mom, they arrived at 7:45 in the morning, when she was still in her bathrobe and Dad hadn't even had his coffee yet. 2 agents, a man and a woman. Educated and professional, but direct. We are following up on a complaint for identity theft. The credit card was opened in the name of your son. It was used to make purchases worth more than 4,000 euros, associated with this address. We need to know who had access to it. Mom's response? There must be a mistake. We are a good, classic family. They asked to speak with each person in the house. Lucia tried leaving in the middle of the conversation, saying she had to work. The agents asked her to stay. She collapsed in less than 5 minutes. It wasn't even fraud. He always helps. I thought he wouldn't mind. Mom intervened quickly. She's very stressed. It was not her intention. But now, it was too late. The officer wrote down everything, recorded it, and even asked to review Lucia's cell phone. That's when the situation got worse. They found messages from Lucia to a friend. I used my brother's data again. Spa day at his cost. Ha ha ha. I don't care. He's so naive he's not even going to find out. Not only was it fraud, it was premeditated. And they had proof. That same day, I received a call from a detective assigned to the case. We have enough information to file charges formally. Do you want to proceed with the complaint? I asked him to give me 1 day. That afternoon, my phone exploded with calls and messages. 27 missed calls. 41 messages. Mom. Alejandro, please. We have to talk. It was just a mistake. She panicked. She's still your sister. Dad. Don't you want to destroy Lucia's life for this? You are selfish. I will lose my job. My apartment. Would you seriously do this to your own family? How curious that no one cared when I was losing parts of myself to help them. I waited for a day. Then I called the detective again. Can we pause the formal complaint temporarily? He agreed. But made it clear this doesn't disappear, just stays on hold. At that moment, Mom made her move. She called me with a voice soft as silk over a blade. If you really want to fix things, come home. Let's talk face to face. Against my better judgment, I went. But as soon as I set foot inside, I regretted it. Lucia was on the sofa, covered with a blanket, pretending to be the victim. Mom had her worried matriarch expression perfectly rehearsed. Dad didn't even get up. "We just want to heal," Mom said. "We do," I responded. "We know you're hurt, but this is destroying the family." "No," I replied. "Lucia did that." Lucia's voice broke. "I didn't think you'd really go to the police." "Who does something like that?" "Someone you've pushed to the limit," I answered. Mom tried to hold my hand. "Let's make this go away. We'll pay for it all. You don't need to involve the police." "How curious," I said. "Why didn't you offer that before they appeared?" She withdrew her hand as if I had slapped her. Finally, Dad spoke. "You're not perfect either. Do you think this makes you some kind of hero?" I looked into his eyes. "No. This makes me free." And then I left. Again. But this time, forever. A week passed. I received another call from the detective. "We've received a payment corresponding to the charges. Marked as anonymous. But it came from a joint account in your parents' name. Do you want to file charges anyway?" I thought about it for a long moment. Then I answered. "No. Not this time. But I want it to be recorded. If something happens to me again, my name, I want you to denounce her." He agreed. And I hung up. And just like that, I was done with them. No more money. No more guilt. No more entering rooms where I was invisible until someone needed me to pay their cell phone bill. A new start. 2 weeks later, I moved out of the region. A little quiet town in Andalusia. With a friendly landlord. With rent that was half of what I paid before. I spent my first weekend assembling IKEA furniture. Listening to old music I hadn't heard since college. I went to the supermarket and bought what I wanted. I sat on my own couch with a coffee and a book. And no one knocked on the door to ask for help. For the first time in a decade, I realized I was no longer responsible for anyone but myself. But here's where the unexpected comes. 3 weeks after starting my new life, I received a letter. Handwritten. Without return address. Inside? A sheet of paper, folded. And a check note said, "I don't expect you to forgive me, but thank you for doing what I never had the courage to do. Lucas." The check, it was half the bill at the Casa Mateo restaurant. I smiled. He didn't owe me anything, but I had understood it. And the others? I never heard from them again. Not for my birthday, or at Christmas even. When Dad had surgery later that year, I only found out through a post on Facebook from a distant cousin. And you know what's better? Like this. They had finally learned what it was like to live without me. And I finally learned to live without them. People say that blood is thicker than water, but they forget the second part of that sentence. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. In other words, the loyalty one chooses matters more than shared DNA. And I finally learned that, the hard way. The last time I saw my family's faces was the day I left that house, with the folder in my hand and the fire in my chest. Since then, not a word. And that silence, before it felt like a punishment. Now, it feels like fresh air. A few weeks ago, I met someone from my hometown. A classmate from high school. He recognized me in the checkout line at the hardware store. "Hey, weren't you Lucia's brother?" I paused and smiled. Not like that. Without further ado. Without a doubt. Because I am no longer Lucia's brother. I am no longer the good son. I am no longer the bank. I am no longer the one who appears when everyone else disappears. I am myself. And for the first time in 32 years, that's enough. They thought I wouldn't survive without them. That I would come crawling back. That I needed their version of love, their emotional blackmail disguised as concern. Their control disguised as closeness. They were wrong. I don't need Sunday dinners where I sit in silence while they toast themselves. I don't need those "how are you" messages that are really just introductions to ask me for something. I don't need to explain to anyone why I changed my number. Why I moved without leaving an address. Or why I never showed up for Christmas. Let them ask. Let them become distressed. Let them try to explain my absence to the rest of the family. To the neighbors. Even to themselves. Because deep down, they know perfectly. They pushed me out. And for the first time, I didn't beg to come back. Do you want to know the best of all? They lost control the moment I stopped begging, darling. And I began to demand respect. Because people like that use the word family like a weapon. But the second you respond by setting boundaries, they call you cold. Broken. Selfish. But I'm nothing like that. I'm just not his. And Lucia anymore? She didn't lose her job. She didn't go to jail. But do you know what she did lose? Her mask. Now the whole family knows what she did. How she lied. How she used me. How she laughed at my back while I slowed down to the last drop. And now? No one trusts her. Lucas left home. Aunt Carolina refuses to let her take care of her children. Uncle Esteban told me in a brief phone call that he did not expect. Lucia's name is now mud at every family event. You don't need to come back, they told me. They were the ones who ruined everything. Now we all see it clearly. But I responded the same as I will tell you now. It is not about who sees it clearly. It is about who managed to survive. And I made it. So no, I'm not going to pretend that everything is fine. I'm not going to send birthday cards or answer calls. I'm not going to show up for fake hugs or tense family meals. Just so mom can make passive-aggressive comments about how hard it is to keep the family together nowadays. I'm no longer one of them. And that's the best thing that has happened to me in my life. Now, I wake up and feel peace. Work. And I keep what I earn. I eat what I want. I don't apologize for saying no anymore. I don't get startled when my phone vibrates. I no longer hold my breath around people who say they love me. I'm free. And not because they let me go. But because I finally stopped waiting for their permission. Let them keep their leftover dinners. Let them pass around my photo as if I were dead. Let them murmur. Let them beg. Let them shout. Let them manipulate the story and call me the villain. I will continue sleeping like a baby. Because the truth is very simple. When they closed that door in front of me, it wasn't me who lost a family. It was them who lost me. And that's the first debt they will never be able to pay.